Well, I'm actually getting very excited now. I get to customize all of these forms and really put my own look and feel and my company's look and feel into the printable documents that our customers will be able to see. But before I get too far, there's a couple of things that I want to do. First of all, I put in a website field, and I don't have my website currently in QuickBooks. So I'm going to come up to the top, to the menu, click on Company, and click the Company Information option. This brings up a large dialog box, and this is where you'll go anytime you need to add or modify the information that you've put in originally when you created your company file. Right now, I'm worried about the website, so I'll go ahead and put the website in. And then I'll click OK. That's a simple little fix. The second thing that I wanted to tell you is that we're going to change some defaults. In other words, every time I create an invoice, I want to use the invoice that I customized, not the one that came with QuickBooks. In order to do that, all I really need to do is to open the invoice and use it, which I'll do in just a moment. You can set some defaults, though. You can set a default for an invoice packing slip, a sales order packing slip, and a pick list. Those are the only three things. And in order to do that, you first of all have to be an admin, and then you have to go into Preferences. So let's go up to Edit Preferences one more time. I know we go here an awful lot. And then we want to go into the Sales and Customer category and the Company Preferences. This is where you get to see your usual shipping method, FOB, do you want to know about duplicate numbers, and it also lets us choose the template for packing slips. By default, it's Intuit Packing Slip, but of course you'll see that once you create your own custom one, you could choose that a little bit differently. Why aren't we seeing the other two? Because the other two are only available in the Enterprise version and the Premier version. I'm working with Pro, and a packing slip is the only one of those three that we can choose for defaults that are available. I just wanted to show that to you. I didn't change anything, so I'll cancel out of it. What we all can use, though, is the invoice itself. Probably the most used business form of all. Go up to the upper right corner, and instead of the default Intuit product invoice, I can choose my copy. Now you see the screen flashed a little bit. It changed the colors, which we already had in there and things, but I really can't see a lot of this because most of what I customized was in the printed version. So let me click the Print Preview button on the upper right, and then you can start to see our changes. Let me zoom in. We have our company name on the top. It's in maroon. It also uses the Comic Sans font, so this is starting to happen. I want you also to remember, though, that we just did a couple of quick things. Normally, if I was going to make this kind of a change, I would want to go through each and every one of those fields and make my fonts consistent, or at least choose 2 different fonts. Right now I kind of have 3 and it looks messy. It doesn't look nice. We want this to look professional, so there certainly are more customizations that need to be done that we haven't done yet. I'm going to click to zoom out, move down to the lower left and click to zoom in, and this is where you can see my website now exists. Remember, for that control, we actually removed all of the borders, so it looks a little bit nicer. It's just sitting there, and we could work with the alignment and the fonts for this as well. Let me go ahead and close out of the preview and remind you, for the most things, including your invoices and your statements, when you choose a different template while you're creating one, after that is saved, then it's going to come up with that same template the next time you opened it. There's no formal way to set the template to be used. It simply goes back to the last one that was used each time. I'll go ahead and close out of this and get back to my home screen. And now you're up to speed and ready to practice and play a little bit with how to best customize any or all of the forms that you use in QuickBooks. Being able to customize your forms and then knowing how to apply the forms and even set the defaults is of course a great start. But as with everything else in our life, usually there's a little bit of management we need to worry about. So I want to quickly show you one last thing before we leave the topic of templates. I'm going to go to the list menu, come down to templates, and of course we can see our list. We've talked about the fact that we can actually edit existing templates, we can make copies, but I wanted to show you a few other things from this templates menu. One is that you can actually create a brand new template from scratch, not based on anything else. When you click on New, it provides a dialog box asking you which type of form you're working with. You would make the selection, for example, Invoice, and then say OK. This is going to bring us back into the dialog box for customization that we're used to seeing. It's just that there's nothing there. If you look at our preview, it's basically blank. Now it does have some basic information because it knows that this is an invoice and normally you would have that. But instead of kind of taking away or modifying what's already there, you're really starting more from scratch using this method. You of course could also go to the layout designer if you wanted even more options. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that and tell you that if you did have a copy of something and you wanted to rename it, for example, copy of Intuit product invoice isn't exactly the best thing I can think of to call this. Well, then I might want to go into managing my templates. Once again, if I right click, we can do all kinds of things from here, but one thing that I don't see is the ability to manage. I need to go back in and edit it first, actually, and then I see a button at the top of this dialog that says manage. I'll go ahead and click that. I have my copy of Intuit product invoice selected, and over on the right hand side, this is where I could rename it. And I'll go ahead and do that so it makes a little bit more sense than just copy of. Maybe I'll call it the You Got It sale. Notice that from here you can also make copies of things and you can delete things. So if you had an older template, you've upgraded it, you don't need another one anymore, you can get rid of it as well. I'm going to go ahead and say OK. And OK again. And show you one last option. You can actually share your templates with other people. If I create it, like I did my You Got It sales, I can right click and I can choose to export. I would want to put it in the proper location, so I'll go ahead and navigate to my lesson folder. And I'll give it exactly the same name. Click on Save, and notice it does have a DES file extension. QuickBook templates have a DES. We'll say Save, and now other people can access it. Likewise, I can also import, so I'll go to my Templates button. I'll choose Import. Still in my folder, I have one called the You Got It Custom Invoice. This is one that I worked on just a little bit a while ago. Now I'm going to import it, so I double click it. I say OK. And of course we want to take a look at it, so I'll right click. I'll open the form. Remember, that's just going to open it up in the data entry view. I'll go to the upper right and click Print Preview to actually get a view of what this is. So here we have a little bit of a sample of what can be done that I didn't show you actually during the course, for simply time reasons. This took maybe 15 minutes. I put rounded corners, I changed fonts, I added the fill to some backgrounds. But this is basically what you have the ability to do given some time. And I'll be honest, it does take a little bit of time. But usually when you're trying to make first impressions or good business impressions by having custom invoices and estimates for your customers, it's something that is time well worth spent.